Welcome to the webinar. My name is David Goldfinch, and I'm a social media marketing producer at CBN. Over the course of this webinar, we will be looking at Facebook video and Facebook Live video. We'll be looking at the reasons to use each of these products, and we'll be looking at how and when to use video in general when building a brand, nurturing an audience, or just communicating with your users and followers. Throughout the course of the webinar, feel free to enter your chat messages, any questions you have or comments you have, and we'll try to stay on top of those and get those answered for you. And I'll try to give you some feedback as we go. So welcome to the today's webinar, which is a webinar on Facebook native video and Facebook Live. How to effectively use video on social media to get the best results for your brand and for your pages. So today we're going to be looking at the rise of Facebook video and giving a basic overview of everything you need to know when making decisions about using Facebook and using Facebook Live for your pages and for your brands. So some quick and fast facts. People online are reading less and less and are watching more and more videos. In fact, the Facebook founder, Mark Zuckerberg, in 2014 said that he predicts that within 5 years, so that'll be 2019, he predicts over 90% of Facebook will be video, which is quite a bold prediction. To date, every day, over 8 billion views and 100 million hours of video are watched on Facebook, and that's each and every day. It's a staggering stat when you think about it. And Facebook is where video is where Facebook is focusing right now. A lot of their energies and finances, and especially with their stockholders and with their strategic planning, is based around taking video to the next frontier. This includes VR, drones, 360 video, marketing, and other slew of interesting facts. Another interesting tidbit, most of you know that Facebook videos play automatically in your newsfeed. This is a key factor that I've included because it creates an engagement off the bat that you don't get with other forms of media and other platforms. According to Forrester Research, 1 minute of video is worth 1.8 million words. And we'll include links to all of these fast facts in the slideshare, which we will be distributing at the end of the webinar. So Facebook video, when and where to use it. So when you look at your page goals and your brand goals, you want to align your video strategy with those goals. So you don't want to just read a case study and then go blindly into producing video and outputting video just for the sake of doing it. Because if you do not align your strategy with your page goals and with your brand goals and leadership goals, then there's a chance that you could end off track and spending man hours, woman hours, where you need not.
David, that brings an interesting question. Could you, I know you're going to get into more of this as we go, but could you maybe just right now give us an example of how one might misalign your video with your page goals? And so give us an example of that.
Yeah, sure. Say, for instance, your page demographic is an older audience who are not as active on mobile devices, are not as active with video, who don't watch as much video as the younger demographics. If you're putting all your eggs in the basket of video and for the sake of and forsaking traditional forms of communication like text and image posts that resonate well, you may alienate some of your demographic. There's also the case where you may have a younger demographic and may not be using video, and the younger demographics really do jive well with video, and video consumption is uber high with the younger demographics. So you really do need to know your demographics, like we've covered on other webinars. Know your demographics, know your page goals, know who's visiting your page, the things they like, the things that they are interested in, and the way that they consume media is also very important, because that all has to align in order for your message to clearly carry through, whether it be video or other forms of media. So that's a great question, Chris. Thank you for that. So when and where to use video. So if you are building brand recognition, say if you want to increase the awareness of, say, your page or your brand or your program, then video is probably the best way to go about doing this. And there is, the stats for video production and video output on Facebook and on social media in general is very, very high. And if you're not there in the mix, you face the chance of losing the battle for attention, like viewer attention, and building that brand. And if also, point number two, if you are driving an action, so if you have a call to action, whether to donate, whether to partner, to download, or to join an initiative, to any type of action that you're driving, statistically, studies have shown that people who watch video are 60% more likely to take the action prescribed if they see a video as well as the call to action. If you're telling stories, then creating personality and an affinity, or getting people to really like your page and your brand and connecting with you and trusting, liking you ultimately enough to engage on a deeper level is also very, very important. So if you're telling stories, even if they're short stories, then video is definitely something you should be looking at. And you should also consider Facebook Live to create trust through the interactive comments, through the reactions, and through the live face-to-face feel. So you feel like you're really interacting with someone versus a pre-recorded, pre-produced video, which you're watching after the fact, and it's someone talking to you rather than someone talking with you. So these are some of the pros of live Facebook Live video, which is on the rise as we speak. So some best practices for Facebook video and the user experience. So being able to watch video without sound is now standard. People expect this. So consider using closed captioning in your videos. So we've tested closed captioning and without closed captioning, and definitely closed captioning, which is the text at the bottom of the screen. If the video is silent, which in essence dictates the audio. Also increases engagement and increases action taking. Yes, as we said, being able to watch without sound is now standard consumer expectation. So with the audio goes, there's not much you can do as far as a viewer to glean the information that's being conveyed. So point number one being that it is now standard. People expect to see closed captioning on the videos, and they expect to see videos without sound as they scroll through their timeline and their feed, and then they get to make the decision of whether to engage the audio. So making that first few minutes very engaging and captivating, so as to cause the viewer to stop and listen to what you're saying and engage with you. Point number two was, I've just covered that, to catch your viewer's attention quickly and use engaging and interesting content. So you don't want to just, sorry to use the expression, drone on. You really want to pose interesting questions. You want to bring up interesting facts. You want to share exclusive information. Exclusivity is very, very good for getting people to feel like they're on the inside, that they're getting to know you, that you're sharing something that you don't share publicly or readily, behind the scenes kind of stuff, and letting people know what's coming up, and to really nurture that viewer into in essence, a friend online. And point number three, keep your video subject well lit. So if you're doing a Facebook Live, be sure to don't have the sun at your back, have it at your face, so that you just little points like that. Have a fairly strong light source in front of you, so that your face fills out and it isn't shadowy, or because that conveys many things, including duplicity, which you don't want. So yeah, another tip is wear colors that pop. Think about how people see your video on Facebook. So there's blue and white on Facebook. Wear maybe red or green, something that will pop as they scroll through a timeline and cause them to stop for a brief second to see what you have to say. For live video, it's important to practice beforehand. So practice in the car, practice in the shower, practice in the mirror, so that you avoid dead air, which is when you kind of lost for words and you don't really have anything to fill the void with, and it can get uncomfortable silences, as they say. Ums and ahs, which I tend to do too much. You want to try to avoid those as much as possible, but at the same time, you don't want to be too pristine and too clean, and because if it's Facebook Live, then it's live, it's real. People expect a real conversation, not a presentation. So that's an important factor. And also collaborate to create interesting dynamics. So bring on guests, bring on subject matters that create interesting dynamics between your brand, but still align, but so that will cause viewers to grab their attention and to engage. Those are just some quick best practices. If you had any questions.
Yeah, this is a good time. If you've got some questions, type them in there. David, I really like that point. I had a question I was going to ask you about how much polish to put on a live, but I think you summed it up with think of it as a conversation, not a presentation, and that to me really that was helpful. I really like that. I've got a question. What about when I think about different Facebook Live things I've seen, both either by here, produced here on campus, or celebrities or other things. Sometimes I've seen like a celebrity looking at the, it's like he or she must be holding the phone right at their face. They're talking. I've seen some others that look a little bit more produced, like they're set up with the background. They're in the studio. Of course, you have those press conference type events, but give us, do you have some suggestions of when is the right time to do the handheld, or should you always do certain things, or how would you guide us as to how to produce that that Facebook Live?
Yeah, those are great questions, Chris. I believe that, again, going back to the page goals and the branding goals and your whatever initiatives you have for a marketing or promotion or branding initiatives, that you always align with those. So say, for instance, if you have an official page that is has high viewership, and I wouldn't suggest doing numerous selfie style videos, and I would focus. I would try to keep the balance, so that you're presenting the live videos that are somewhat polished, and you're really representing the brand in a way, but are still conversational. You want to keep the branding principles of well lit, make sure your brand's visible, keep to the guidelines as you regularly would, but also have the personal selfie styled Facebook Live videos where you're more one-on-one, more intimate, and those build the personal brand as well as the public brand. So you say, if you're a personality on the page, you're also building that personality, which people want. Like, they want to connect with the page, but in essence, people connect with people. So the brand is there, but you associate people with the brand, and you want to connect with those people. And while you're connecting with those people, you're connecting with the brand. So to answer your question, there are different, and again, to remember that Facebook Live is fairly new. It's fairly green product as it is. So when you have your handheld device, you're limited by what you can see as far as comments coming through. You can't see all the comments on your handheld device, so you have to have another device where you can actually see the comments coming through. So that's why you'll see sometimes a presenter, even if it's polished, they'll be looking at their phone, scrolling through, or alternating where one can look at the comments. We've done both, where we have a large monitor on set, and we feed the comments into that monitor so that the presenter can, just off camera, can see the comments coming in, and also the guests can see the comments coming in, the hearts, the likes, and it really gets them energized to see the connection with the audience. So I think, to answer your question, I think I would balance it out. But again, depending on your page and brand guidelines and initiatives, I would look at how to best represent those in the video rather than giving a hard and fast, do X handheld selfie videos and X studio live videos. Yeah.
Thanks, David. That makes sense. As I recall, I think I've seen more of the selfie style with celebrities who don't have their brand is their person.
Right.
So, Drew has a question. He says, changing subject slightly or changing tack slightly, do you use YouTube for your closed captions? We do for Orphan's Promise, and it works very well.
Yeah, so CBN has professional closed captioning for the features for the actual show itself, 700 Club show, and there are services you can use. YouTube is a great service to use if you've got a small budget, a small team, because it automatically pulls in the closed captioning for you, and then you can actually download that. There are ways to download that closed captioning and then upload the text file to, say, Facebook. Facebook also does it, but there are kind of a few hoops to jump through, and then there are other free software. Maybe I can link to those in the slide share when I share that with the viewers. But yes, there are a couple of ways to do that, and YouTube is a great way. Thanks for sharing that, Drew. That's a great tip for those who don't know. If you don't know, now you know. Okay, so when choosing between native video or Facebook Live, knowing when to use which video product. So live versus native. So using live video for longer, more interactive content is good because the engagement factor, you can come in at, say, 2 minutes in or 10 minutes into a live video and still feel that it's fresh, feel that it's engaging. You can get reactions, and it's a very lively event. They've built it that way to foster interaction and to foster a connection between people through video versus purely through text and image. So if you're using for shorter, more produced content, definitely native video. So there's no sense in say pre-producing a video and then promoting it live, unless of course you're broadcasting live, as we've done with say the 700 Club show. We've broadcast live shows, special events. We've broadcast them live. But say the rule of thumb would be for shorter, more produced content, use native video, and for because you're not able to interact with a pre-produced video, so you might comment on a pre-produced video, and it's pre-produced, so the person's not going to know who you are or respond, so you don't have that sort of interaction going on. So for talking heads, it's less exciting in native video, but there's more room for this format with live video, because again, it's less exciting, but there's an interactive and personal touch there with Facebook Live video. And for live video, your followers of your page are notified once the video goes live. And if you have a certified page, you can set up a lobby. It's called a lobby, so you can pre-schedule a Facebook Live, and users are notified, and then they a few minutes before you go live, they enter into a lobby and they can chat amongst themselves, and sort of builds anticipation, more like an event. And that's a great tool to use if you have a certified page on Facebook. And people spend more than 3 times more time watching a live video on average than watching that video once it's no longer live. So once people see that it's the same video content is no longer live, they tend not to engage with it by a magnitude of 3, because of that fact that it's the time has passed, and there's not the urgency there. You can go back and watch it later and see what the content was, but you don't have the added benefit of being able to interact and feel like you're a part of the production or a part of the video.
Juana just has a comment to add. Going back to sharing, she says, I've heard speakers advise to embrace the pause this helps to avoid using speech fillers. So I like that a lot. Sometimes we forget to pause. So anyway, great. If you got questions, please again jump in. And I don't see any right now. So David, keep us going.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Juana.
Actually, Drew just jumped in. Let's see. Hey, you're good. Okay, do you have a recommended length for live video? How short is too short? He says, we have a lot of 30-second to 1-minute videos, but that seems too short for live.
Yeah, it's a great question, Drew. I've seen official metrics from Facebook that say 15 minutes minimum for a live video is best. You get more engagement after that. They start to show it more after that. So between 15 minutes and I guess 4 hours is the maximum, but 15 minutes minimum. Of course, we do shorter videos than that, but those are guidelines from Facebook itself. But yeah, so if you have a 1-minute video and you're going to go live with it, by the time your viewer sees the notification, clicks through, and stumbles upon your content, it's halfway through or 3/4 of the way through, and there's no connection, there's no message, and you're as a viewer, you're left more frustrated than connected. So you want to nurture, a good experience. Of course, it all comes down to user experience, and so that's a great question, Drew, as far as length of Facebook Live videos. And I'm going to pause.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So we'll do a quick walkthrough of setting up a live video. Most of you may have had exposure to this, but for the sake of those who haven't, we'll go through some quick slides. So on your mobile phone, just like you're sharing, you can click on or tap on what's on your mind and select live video, and then you can go live from your device. Again, follow the best practices of good lighting, good audio, get close to the mic, don't muffle the microphone, and have something to say and have a great greeting to hit them with. And that's on mobile. So we have real-time high engagement factor with live video on mobile. For pages, you want to go to your publishing tools and then live video, and then set up your live video there. And then you'll pass your stream key to your publish, whichever tool you're using to publish. There are some free tools like OBS, which is Open Broadcast software, which you can stream live video from your desktop. There's also paid programs. One which we use is Wirecast, which allows you to produce a more production level type video where you can have overlays, you can switch between videos, you can stream different sources, you can have pre-rolls and that sort of thing, lower thirds. So there was a cost associated with those, but OBS does pretty much the same and it's free. And then some examples of video in use. So here is a featured story which 700 Club produces a lot of these. They're amazing quality, amazing stories and testimonies, and it's part of the branding, but it's also part of, at the core of who the 700 Club is, and connecting with followers, partners, and really getting to show the good work that goes on, that partners are a part of. And so we have these short featured stories, which are between, say, like 6 minutes on average, I would say, and then cut downs of these, which are a little bit shorter. Some go a little longer, but so that's an example of a featured story. Here's a Facebook Live, which is more of a produced Facebook Live, where we have a production level camera set up with the software, and we have production level audio equipment and lighting. And we are here we see Social Sisters are interviewing a well-known author and pastor, Judah Smith. And then we have a 360 video. Now 360 is still early in its inception, but Facebook are all in with 360 videos. They have purchased a VR company for over $1 billion, and they are pushing for VR both on Facebook and on other devices as well. So it's all a good if you have the budget or if you have the ability to, then I would suggest trying out 360 videos, which are great for immersive experiences and exploring. And we're still in the early days of implementing these, but they're showing great promise. That's an example of the 360 HI video. Yep.
Going back to, so pushing pause here for a second, going back to the different software you mentioned, and I tell the folks you could send out links to those different tools. Dolores says, we use Wirecast for live videos. Are you familiar with that software? Have you noticed, and she also asked, have you noticed if numbers are lower because of it in comparison to streaming without the software? And so they've used it, again, for the last 2 years.
Yes, that's a great question, Dolores. So we do use Wirecast, and yes, there are anecdotal evidence, but also some key statistics that sharing a live video from your mobile device gets higher. Facebook will show it to more people than if you share through a third-party device software like Wirecast. So Facebook is pushing more of the personal live video, but they're also allowing for larger brands to use the more produced using the software. So I think there Facebook is boosting the mobile live video more so than third-party software. So yes, that's correct. You'll see lower numbers when using Wirecast as opposed to directly from your mobile phone.
I'm thinking too, just like in the news, you're often more forgiving of the production values in a, say, on location disaster relief situation or other things than when versus in the studio interviewing a guest. Right. That you would want to see a little bit more. You'd expect polished, it to be more polished.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, and there are ways to build you could build a small mobile Facebook Live unit with a mobile phone, a tripod holder, good mics, and you can have a great user experience, and you can without breaking the bank, as opposed to investing in software and lights and the such. If you keep it small, you can also keep it small and still produce successful videos, I believe.
Would you always suggest using a mic? What is your thought on that?
Yeah, I think if there's more than one guest, if it's a lone shoot, say if it's a solo presentation where it's just you presenting to your mobile phone and speaking to the mobile phone, I think that's fine without a mic because the device picks up good audio, like the newer devices pick up good audio. However, if you're interviewing a guest or having a second person on, it gets kind of finicky trying to move the phone and capture the audio experience. So a bad audio experience will actually throw you off more than a bad visual experience. So say if there's blurriness or light, but the audio is great. Like people will watch longer if the audio is great. Mm-hmm. But if you have bad audio, screeching, if there are issues with the audio, people will turn off quicker. They're more forgiving of visual issues with, say, sun glare or blurriness or things like that. So it's always good to consider that aspect of the production audio.
Okay. Drew mentions we just bought the Shure MV88, which connects to Lightning port on the iPhone. It's helped a bunch. Better quality, and you don't have to crank the levels to hear speech. Great tip. Thanks for that, Drew.
Thank you, Drew. Drew's got the nuggets today. Scroll up if you haven't seen his post. He's dropped some good nuggets in there. Thank you, Drew. Yeah, that's a great brand, and yeah, anytime you can increase the audio experience as well as a video experience, I would go with audio first because you can it really throws you off, and audio it can be unbearable if there are issues with the audio. So final thoughts. Always be mindful of the end user. So when you're using native videos in your ads, say you're targeting mobile users, then there's an option to target mobile users only when they're on Wi-Fi, as opposed to when they're out and about roaming,
many users will have limited data or will not watch your video just because they know it's a data hazard, to use that term. So be mindful of the end user, be mindful of their data usage on mobile. And again, we just covered this, but bad audio is worse than poor visual. So check your audio levels before going live. And if you can invest in a microphone, a small lav microphone like Drew has mentioned in the comments, then do so. And always keep obstructions away from the, be mindful of where the audio port is, the speaker is, the microphone is on your mobile device, on your smartphone, and keep that free from obstruction. And so we've had this debate before, but since the rise of Snapchat, vertical video is now deemed acceptable. So it used to be, even say a year or two ago, people say like, you don't shoot video that way, you hold it sideways, like letterbox, man. But with the advent of Snapchat and the wide usage of vertical videos, it's now deemed acceptable. So square and vertical video on mobile works very well. Whereas a couple of years ago, to some people, it would have rubbed them the wrong way. So again, you got to know your audience and how people are consuming media, and you always got to stay on top of trends and notice what trends are coming and going, and what practices and best practices are being implemented, and try to implement these even in small doses, and this will increase your production level and the user experience little by little, and also increase your brand, the affinity to your brand. And also with Facebook video, you can build ad retargeting, so you can target people who've watched, say, 100% of a certain video. So you can have a video which is say it's a well that has been dug in Kenya for an orphanage home, and so you have a video on this story, feature on the story, and you can target people who've watched this video all the way through and target them for future videos related to, because obviously if they've watched the video 100% of the way through, this is a topic, or this is a theme which resonates with them. So you can continue to show them such videos, or you can present them with partnership initiatives that are closely aligned with these subjects. So that's another way to think of video, as it sort of filters and engages people, and people raise their hand by watching, watching the content, and watching the content to its completion. So these are some thoughts to ponder as you plan your video experience.
Great. Dolores has a question. She says, or actually a comment. She says, what I like about Wirecast is that it allows you to add a pre-recorded video in lower thirds. We haven't mentioned that before. Talk to us a little bit about either interspersing pre-recorded video or lower thirds.
Yeah, again, thank you, Dolores. Wirecast is a fantastic piece of software, because it does allow you to bring a more produced, as we said, a more produced feel to the videos. So you can have a live video with guests, and you can present it very professionally with professional grade lower third graphics. You can do fly-ins, you can do green screen, you can do 3D sets where the people are sitting in front of a green screen, and you can have them on Facebook Live on a studio set. You can do great things like that, amazing things like that. And you can stream to different platforms. You can stream it to Facebook, you can stream it to YouTube. So it does give you a wide range of tools to use. And again, you can play pre-recorded video and mix it in with live video. So you can do everything you can do on live TV, say, for instance. So it is, in essence, a mini broadcasting studio. And OBS is a software that kind of does the same thing, but it's free, so you need to fish around for plugins and such. So if you have the budget, definitely look at case studies, look at case study usage, and also you can reach out to us. You can reach out to me. I'll include my email if you have any questions about producing Facebook Live content with Wirecast or with other tools. If you have any other general questions about the presentation. So I think I've answered that correctly. Yes, so we use, I have an older version of Wirecast where you can stream to both Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So I actually haven't upgraded for that fact because with the new Wirecast, they are limiting you to one stream at a time. And I believe it's, if you think about it, there's a live video is now a trending thing, and the different platforms are vying for original content. So no one wants content that's being produced elsewhere. They want to have exclusivity. So I think Facebook implemented a feature where you could only stream. If you're going to stream to them, you could only stream to them. You couldn't split the stream and stream to YouTube at the same time. So that's featured in newer versions of Wirecast. But I think I have one version back or two versions back. So we can still do that. But yes, that's correct. You can only stream to Facebook.
I suppose I'm not sure if this is even the right idea, but my poor man's version would be to, well, great, I'll just hold up two phones and won't talk to them both.
Yeah, I have a friend who created a was it like a tripod device that holds three phones. So I think this is when Periscope. So you had one for Periscope, one for, what was the other one? Facebook, and one for, I forget. But he had the three phones streaming to three different audiences. So you're not far off there.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're just about to wrap up. Is there any last questions anyone has? This is that dramatic pause. Yeah. Drew says, I haven't used it, but I've seen it used, and Switcher Studio is a killer iOS app people might want to check out too. Yeah. Thanks for those tips and for sharing with the group. We do have, as we're waiting for any last questions, we do have our door prize winner for the day. That's Naveen. Congratulations, Naveen. You are the winner. You get scheduled time with David, and you guys can set that up after the session, sometime in the near future.
Yep, and there's also many subjects outside of the scope of the presentation today pertaining to video, and video not just on Facebook, but on social media. So we want to be a resource to you. If you have any questions whatsoever about video production, your budget, what you have at your disposal, the initiatives you're trying to implement, please reach out and we'll be more than happy to chat with you and share any information we can.
Great.